You guys ready? Okay. Good evening and welcome to June 15th, 2020 Valley View School District Board meeting. Could we please stand for the pledge? And Ms. Sikora, could you please lead us?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America,
United States
to the
of America,
republic for which it
for which it
stands,
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God, indivisible,
visible,
with liberty and
liberty.
justice for all.
justice for all.
Ms. Pirro, could you give us the affirmation statement, mission statement?
Our mission is to empower all learners to be college, career, and life ready, and to develop, grow, and achieve as productive citizens.
Ms. Kinder, the agenda, please.
Yes, President Pro Tem Zach, I'd like to ask the board to approve the agenda as amended, removing information report 12.3. This is to allow board members time to ask additional questions as communicated to President Quigley.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Discussion or questions? Hearing none,
Yes.
Yes.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Liz.
Yes. Why are we taking down especially oppression and justice at a time like this? Why are we removing that? Why are we not talking? And like I say, this is nothing after I sent you guys an email that I was going to talk about this. Well, what was the concerns that we cannot open it up to the administrators, to the community, to whoever needs to know about this? Why do we have to wait on this?
It was requested that there was a desire to ask questions and to learn more about it prior to it coming to a formal information report. I certainly am open and willing, as are the individuals who've been working on this course proposal for more than 6 months, to discuss these important topics in a public forum. We welcome that. We look forward to that. And it is certainly our charge to ensure that our students are provided a space in their learning environment, a safe space to learn and discuss and grow as citizens, to engage effectively in the world. So it's the intent that we do bring it back and have public discussion as to the specific questions that 2 board members have. That I'm not aware of. No one had presented any questions to me prior to the board meeting.
So these questions that other board members have, whoever, are they going to be addressing you? I mean, this is not something that the full board has to come together for, right?
Correct. That's my understanding.
As always, we're available for questions well in advance if more time is needed and we want to run this through like a teaching and learning academic committee and have the educators who worked on this course proposal or have board members bring forth questions there, and then we can bring that to the public open meeting. That is certainly fine as well. We typically bring forward course.
I believe your intent was to bring it into the school's second semester of next year, correct?
Right. This would not be for the fall, given that like students are already enrolled in courses, and so the next phase is then securing materials and readying for the actual registration for student enrollment in the course.
So if this gets put off ultimately 2 more months now, does that give you enough time to get materials and everything that you need in order to be ready for second semester next school year?
I'm going to ask Adam Herder, he's the executive director of 612, to weigh in on that since he's most closely connected to the team doing this work.
Thank you. I apologize. Just to make sure I'm answering the question, I'm having a little of a connection issue. Member Parrott, do you mind just repeating just briefly?
Yeah, my question was, if we put this off till the next meeting as an information report, then that means that ultimately it's going to be about 2 months before it could be approved.
Sorry,
It's not
I was,
approved for 2 more months. Would that give you enough time to have things ready that you need to have in place in order to start this course second semester of the school year?
Thank you for repeating. I appreciate that.
No problem.
The answer to that would be yes. So I'm Adam Herter. I'm the executive director for middle and high schools. The teachers and curriculum staff who've been working on this are working on it as a course for the 2021-2022 school year. So it wouldn't begin this fall. It would begin a year from this fall. If we were able to secure approval, later this summer or into the fall, we would be able to prepare the course in time to make sure it's in the course catalog and that students would be able to register for it. So the curriculum work has been done significantly already, and the team can continue to work while we iron out the schedule of bringing back the information report.
So I guess my understanding, though, from something I read, that it was going to be offered second semester of this coming school year. Is that incorrect?
That was not my understanding. And
Okay,
perhaps
sorry, I misunderstood it then somewhere. I didn't read it right. Okay.
Okay. Okay, that's the end of the questions. Could we have?
sorry, it was bedtime here. So, quick question, which part are we on?
For the agenda.
To
one.
move the critical pedagogy,
Yes,
We're approving the agenda.
correct.
okay.
JT, Liz was asking why we decided to amend the agenda and why that was taken off of the agenda.
Okay, so everybody's up.
Hold on 1 second. Okay,
What are we
so
waiting
I'm sorry,
for?
Liz. Yeah, Liz was asking why. So I think we need to have a discussion about this, the foundations of this offline. I'd rather ask my questions
Correct.
in a private setting than opposed to having it be in the. I mean, I'll do it either way. I don't
No,
care.
that's what,
So
no, JT, that's
Yeah.
correct. That's plenty of time to do it afterwards. Okay, so we need a motion and a second. We had a motion and a
I've
second.
lost connection. Can you tell me where we at?
We're still here on this one, Liz. We're going to be voting on it right now as soon as Sally calls the roll.
Okay, what are we voting on? I need to know what I'm voting on.
Point
The agenda.
the agenda.
So we're removing that, or this is the revised, or this? But I always have discussion.
It's going to the next meeting.
Pardon me?
It's going to be at the next meeting. Shelley, the roll call vote, please.
Member Viduras,
yes. Wait, just so I'm clear, we're removing this, correct, to the next meeting? My vote's yes.
Correct.
yes. Member Campbell,
No, I want it now.
Member Gilbo,
Yes.
Member Perro,
Yes.
Secretary Sikora,
Yes.
and President Pro Tem Zach.
Yes. Mr. Gurzafi, the treasurer's report, please.
Treasurer's Report 5.1 includes the normal financial reports, balance sheets, summary of revenue expenditures. Listed tonight, we have interim obligation payments as well as debt service payments. Total for both of those items, $4,387,026.11 for your action.
We need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Anybody want-
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Questions or any discussions? Seeing none, hearing none. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Member Perro,
Yes.
Member Gilbo,
Yes.
Member Campbell,
Yes.
Member Viduras,
Yes.
Secretary Sikora,
No.
President Pro Tem Zach.
Yes.
Treasurer's Action Report 5.2 is the schedule of bills for the month of June. We've got 5 funds representing $2,213,686.88 for your action as well.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Questions, discussions? Seeing none, hearing none, roll call vote.
I want to just double check, where are we at?
5.2, Treasurer's Report.
Okay,
Schedule of
thank you.
bills. Sorry. Okay, roll call vote, please.
Member Badouris,
Yes.
Member Campbell,
Yes.
Member Gilbo,
Yes.
Member Perro,
Yes.
Secretary Sikora,
Yes.
President Pro Tem Zach.
Yes.
We've got Treasurer's Information Report 5.3 through 5.6. It's the usual reports for the month as prepared by our Treasurer, Joanne Borg. If you've got any questions, I'll be happy to entertain those. I think it's worth mentioning the property taxes received as listed in May there. We're actually ahead of schedule as compared to last year. We've got a big distribution here on Thursday, so that will kind of be all telling to see if June can keep up with May, but I just thought it was worth noting.
Okay, thank you, Gary. Number 6, consent agenda items. Ms. Kinder.
Yes, thank you. We are seeking your approval on the consent agenda items this evening. 6.1, approval of board meeting minutes from May 18th, 2020, executive session meeting minutes from May 18th, 2020. And 6.3, authorization to prepare tentative budget for fiscal year 2021. 6.4, renewal of treasurer's bond and working cash bond. 6.5, resolution number 2019, providing the transfer of funds from the Ed Fund and the Operations and Maintenance Fund to the Debt Service Fund for principal and interest obligations. And 6.6, gifts to Irene King Elementary School and Jonas Salk Elementary School.
Could we have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Questions, discussions? Seeing none, hearing none, could we have a roll?
I have a question. Gary, could you explain 6.4 to me, if you don't mind? Renewal of treasurer's bond and working cash bond.
Sure, these are the bonds to support our treasurer, Joanne Borg. Due to the fact that she handles all the money, she's responsible for all of the bank accounts, investment accounts, and so forth. So she's required to be bonded per school code, up to 25% of what she would handle in total at any given time. And so this is an annual securement of those bonds.
Thank you, Gary. Okay, can we go on with the roll call vote, please?
Member Campbell,
Yes.
Member Gilbo,
No.
Member Perro,
Yes.
Member Badouris,
Yes.
Secretary Sikora,
Yes.
and President Pro Tem Zach.
Yes. Audience participation. Is there anyone that would like to address the board? If so, please state your name and remember that due to time restraints, you have 5 minutes. Seeing none, hearing none. Number 8, Superintendent Action Report 8.1.
Yes, action report 8.1 is student due process cases
process.
A through B. We're seeking your approval as presented.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Questions or discussions? Seeing none, hearing none, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Member Gilbo,
Yes.
Member Perro,
Yes.
Member Badouris,
Yes.
Member Campbell,
Yes.
Secretary Sikora,
Yes.
and President Pro Tem Zach.
Yes. Action report 9.1, Ms. Kinder.
Yes, 9.1 is board policies. We're presenting a series of policies for approval. Changes reflect Illinois Association of School Boards press policy service recommendations due to changes in various state and federal laws. The policies have also been reviewed by our legal counsel. Operational Services 4-100, Insurance Management. Under Community Relations, 8-10, Connection with the Community. 8-90, Parent Organizations and Booster Clubs. And 8-100, Relations with Other Organizations.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Do we have any questions or
I have a
discussion?
question, Rachel. On the insurance management, it talks about catastrophic accident insurance for students 9 through 12. If they're involved in a school activity, a sport or something, why don't we include 6 through 8? Is that not necessary or?
Yeah, we do. This is the minimum requirement. We actually provide twice what's required. Give me 1 second, I'll find it here. What's listed there is expenses in excess of $50,000. Basically, that would be the deductible.
Right.
We carry a deductible of $25,000 for all students, for school time, all school-related activities, not just sports. We have a $5 million maximum benefit. The school code requires a $3 million benefit. They provide a benefit period of 5 years. Our policy is written for 10 years. So we're almost double in all categories in terms of student accident, but this is the bare minimum
Okay.
as is required by school code.
Thank you. I just wondered why 6 through 8 wasn't in there. Thank you.
Okay. For the questions, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Member Pero,
Yes.
Member Badouris,
Yes.
Member Campbell,
Yes.
Member Gilbo,
Yes.
Secretary Sikora,
Yes.
President Pro Tem Zach.
Yes.
Thank you. Action Report 9.2, we are seeking your approval on the ESSA, Every Student Succeeds Act school work plans for Irene King Elementary School. The Illinois State Board of Education issues designations to schools based on multiple indicators of performance to indicate how well schools are serving all children. In the fall of 2019, Irene King Elementary School received an ESSA designation of underperforming for one subgroup, and that is students with disabilities. This was based on student data for this one subgroup of children during the 18-19 school year. This designation begins a 4-year cycle by which the school receives additional support for improvement efforts to specifically support that identified subgroup. With this completed school year being year 1 of the 4-year cycle, Irene King has already begun the process of creating additional focus for improvement and support for children with disabilities. The Illinois State Board of Education will continue to support Irene King with financial resources through 22-23 school year. And although we're in a situation where there is a lack of state assessment data due to the school closure, and that may then impact the school's possibility to reach a commendable status by 21, that will not have an impact on the flow of additional support for the school during this 4-year process. So in order to receive the funds for this particular area of improvement, they complete a set of tasks that get the building team focused on providing supports for this group of children. Those documents are linked into the action report and provided there for your information. And so we are seeking your approval this evening to support the efforts and the ongoing efforts of the Irene King team, who's working very hard for their continuous improvement efforts in their building and specifically to support our children with disabilities.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Questions, discussions? Seeing none, hearing none, may we have
I do. I have a question.
Go ahead.
So this is a plan to help that subgroup that is not doing as well as they should. Who is responsible for overseeing that this plan is followed out and we're successful with this plan?
So we have internal controls through our district team, through Jill Chikalis, our Executive Director of Pre-K 5, and Mary Worster, our Executive Director of Student Services. The building also has an assigned coach that works very closely with them on a regular basis. And then together as senior leadership, we do provide oversight on how the buildings are doing with meeting their overall building goals, as well as any goals they have set for subgroups. In this specific instance, because this was identified as a group that received a designation of underperforming, there's also additional oversight by the Illinois State Board of Education and the network of support that they provide.
Does it have to be updated yearly, or how often does this plan need to be updated?
Yes, it is updated yearly.
And so then we say what we were successful at and what we still need to work on? Is that how that works?
That is correct. Just
Okay.
like our continuous improvement efforts overall, we do that on an ongoing basis throughout the year, and then at the end of the year, we make adjustments and, do a needs assessment and make adjustments for our goal setting and our improvement plans, our action plans for the upcoming school year. And then in this specific instance, there's an additional focus for this subgroup of children.
Okay, and we weren't given information on this ahead of time.
We operate under the guidelines of the Illinois State Board of Education, and it's, when those are released, we turn them around as quickly as possible with our teams. And so, as you will note, in prior years, we've had the work plans, the ESSA work plan, since that came about in 2018, as well as our consolidated district plan, that we usually have very short turnarounds. Reason being, as the school year winds up and we're dependent on data to complete the year, complete the needs assessment and see how well we did, the plans are then released by ISB to update, and then we have a deadline to submit the plan, and in this instance, to access funds, or in the instance of the district consolidated plan, to even apply for the federal grants, we are required to submit them. So the timelines are very short. Our teams begin work as soon as the school year is ending, and then we're meeting just as recently as this week to complete plans, and they meet throughout the summer. But it is a short turnaround, and that is why you often see it brought for action. In many cases, it's a compliance factor in the sense that ISB requires the board to see it, to know that it's in process, to allow us to then apply and move forward. So that is why you see it brought for action, and we've done that in prior years, and every year that I can recall since it's been around. For those reasons.
Okay, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Member Badouris?
Yes.
Member Campbell?
Yes.
Member Gilbo?
Yes.
Member Pero?
Yes.
Secretary Sikora?
Yes.
President Pro Tem Zak?
Yes.
Thank you. Action Report 9.3 is the FY21 Consolidated District Plan. So as I was explaining previously, this is a process for streamlining the federal grant application and management process. So this is essentially one consolidated plan that we work together comprehensively across all of the different departments in educational services. And this one plan then provides a plan for holistic supports for students, and this has been an improvement since previously each separate federal grant required a separate needs assessment. So it requires districts to collectively look at needs for all learners, and then specifically for designated groups that receive additional federal support. So this one consolidated plan allows the district to apply for grants from Title I, Part A, Title I School Improvement, Title II, which is Educator Development, Title III, Language Instruction, Education Program, Title IV, IDEA, and that's Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, and also our IDEA preschool. This is a prerequisite for submitting applications for federal funds. Again, why you see it often in a quick turnaround time is because it does not get released to us much in advance of the time that the grants get released to us. So we have to turn this around in order to be able to apply for these, this block of federal dollars, which in total is probably approximately $7.3 million based on our preliminary allocations. So it is critical that the board sees this, knows this is in process, and then our staff is eligible to go ahead and apply for these federal grants that provide a great deal of support for the and education for our children.
Motion and a second I'm looking for.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussions?
I do. I have a couple questions and then comment. Couple comments actually. I was able to read, I wasn't even able to read all of it. It was very, very, very tiny print and it was very extensive. And we had a lot of information in this packet and I know I was asking about it and didn't get an answer back. So one of my questions is, which school is the third underperforming school? Because I know we had two before the end of this year, and now we have a third underperforming school, but I don't know which school that is.
We only have one school with the designation of underperforming, and that's Irene King Elementary School. And that's for the
So-
subgroup of students with disabilities.
So it looked like in that report, it said that we had two, and then we have a third for this year. Am I wrong? Am I reading that wrong?
You see that in the action report itself or within
Yeah,
the CDP?
in the actual report. Yeah, I think it was in maybe the second section or third section of the.
So initially, when the designations began, we had two schools who received a designation of underperforming for the 18-19 school year, and that was Oakview Elementary and Woodview Elementary. That was also for the subgroup of children with disabilities. They since have moved to commendable status, including for that designated subgroup, and there are no other schools that had received a designation of underperforming. All of our schools and all of our other subgroup areas have received a designation of commendable or higher with a rating of exemplary.
So the third one that it's talking about would be considered the Irene King, is that?
That is possible. That is possible, yes. Because the two schools who initially received it in 18-19, even though that they have moved to a commendable status, they do continue to receive those ESSA dollars. It's a nominal amount, but it is dollars that flow specifically to continue to support those subgroups. So it's not just a one-year thing, and then now, okay, you know, we move on. It's, well, let's sustain that additional support so that you can sustain and continue to improve for that subgroup of learners. So that's probably what you're referencing. And Member Gilmo, with all due respect, you emailed me at 6:15 p.m. And the board meeting started at 6:30 this evening. So I'm happy to answer your question publicly, but I'm also available anytime during the day or in the days prior to the board meeting to answer any questions you have.
I did have other questions that weren't answered a couple weeks ago as well, but I have another question, not on this. I have to give you that, not on this. Like I say, there was a lot, and this one was hard for me to even read, so.
So this is the actual, you've seen this
I know,
before
it's
as a
just
board
really-
member last year. It has just been updated, so it's not brand new information. In fact, much of it is just carried over. So you've actually seen all of this previously, and it's just being updated. And you'll see it again next year as well. So it is just an
very small.
ongoing.
It's just very small print and it's hard to see. But my other question is, there were check marks on, this is different than the Irene King one. So this is for the whole district, the Consolidated District Plan. And in the past, I know, as you say, we've worked on things in the past. In the past, we worked on school climate, but I see in this one that is not one of the considerations anymore.
No, that is not accurate.
Do you see where the check marks are? It's just not checked off as school climate. So that's where I'm getting that from. Am I wrong? The check marks are what we're working on as a consolidated district plan, but school climate, there's two that have to do with climate, and neither one of those are checked off as something that we're working on. At least that's what I'm seeing there.
It's a quite lengthy document, but if you are referring to which instruments were used by the LEA in the needs assessment process, is that what you're
Yeah,
referring to?
maybe that's what I'm looking at, yeah.
Okay, that is a specific instrument or tool that we do not administer in the district. It's the Ed School Climate Survey. We do not use that in district. We use a different tool. That is why we have checked other. So we use all of those things that are checked: school report cards, 5 essential surveys, student achievement data disaggregated by subgroups, recruitment and retention efforts and effectiveness data, professional development plans, school improvement plans, SS site-based expenditure data, Illinois Quality Framework and supporting rubric, and then other. So we have a panorama and 5 essentials fall into the other category as well.
So those would be the ones where we are still looking at school climate, is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Every building, as part of their school improvement plan, has a goal specific to staff, and climate is the focus.
Good, glad to hear that. Okay,
Okay,
so I have just one more thing.
okay,
Nick,
because I have a question then. Go ahead.
Oh, you have a question? Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead, Sally.
No, go ahead.
Rachel, you were explaining to me, so with that $7.3 million, it's broken down. If you don't use that money for that specific category, it has to be each category for the children. That money can't be spent anywhere else, only in that category. And we have to spend it that way.
That is correct. So I gave you that was just a estimate of total overall of these federal grants that this plan allows us to apply for. So for example, Title III for limited English proficient students, that money is designated specifically for instructional supports for those students or for supports for teachers who instruct those students or needs that they have. And then same thing with students with disabilities. That money is specifically for students with disabilities, or the IDEA, Individuals with Disabilities Education Act for preschool. That's specifically for our preschool students. So it is designated toward specific groups of students to provide supplementary supports in addition to what the district already provides.
We were talking about that in our finance committee meeting, and we went over it at length, and she explained it and I really started understanding it a little bit better. So thank you for that. Okay, that's 9.3. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Member Perro,
Yes.
Member Gilbo,
No,
Member Campbell,
Yes.
Member Badouris,
Yes.
Secretary Sikora,
Yes.
President Pro Tem Zach.
Yes. Action report, Mr. Gerzafi, 10.1.
Got 4 action reports. We're going to begin with facility dogs and end with a diesel fuel contract and all points in between here. So the first action report is a recommendation to approve the agreements for caretaker of facility dogs between Valley View and one Rachel Newtons from JJL, Lekancik, and Jody Ellis from RC Hill. These are exactly the same agreements, other than dates being changed, that were approved in their prior year. Basically, we enter into an agreement with the caretaker of the facility dog to be used in our schools on a consistent or up-to-daily basis. Provides for provision of a payment of a stipend of $750 per semester to the dog owner for costs related to dog care and safety, including liability insurance, which the individual would have to provide to the district to indemnify us. It's been reviewed by legal and our insurance carrier, and we are recommending approval of said agreements.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, and we have a second. Questions, discussions? Seeing none, hearing none, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Member Badouris,
Yes.
Member Campbell,
Yes.
Member Gilbo,
yes.
Member Perro,
Yes.
Secretary Sikora,
Yes.
and President Pro Tem Zach.
Yes.
Next action this evening is our renewal of our property, casualty, student accident, educators' legal liability, amongst other various lines. Those coverages are set to expire here on June 30. We do use Alliant Insurance Services to help us bind coverage to protect the district's interests. They are recommending that we move our liability coverage to Liberty Mutual and move our property coverage to Affiliated. This option provides coverages as close to what we had in place in the prior year, while saving approximately $79,000 over the next best option for renewal, which would have been remaining with Wright as our underlying carrier. If you had a chance to read the executive summary, I certainly won't read it here to you, but the gist of that is that the overall renewal increases are averaging between 10 and 22%. It is a particularly hardened market with respect to sexual abuse and molestation coverage, specifically in the excess liability marketplace. Many excess liability carriers are leaving the education market entirely. Of those that remain, many are looking to limit or exclude coverage for educators' legal liability, employment practices liability, assault and battery, and sports injuries. We've partnered again with the liability programs of both Wright and Liberty Mutual and are basically recommending that we move the program to Liberty. Property is being requested to be moved to Affiliated. With that, it's about a 1% increase over the expiring program. You've got a premium summary and comparison there. A lot of the renewal limits are enhanced with Affiliated. However, the deductibles are also increasing. We've had it good for a long time with some very low deductibles. For direct damage of property was set at $2,500. Now it'll be moved to $10,000. Equipment breakdown, same thing. For flood, we'd go from $25,000 to $50,000. And so, I liken it to auto insurance. If you carry a $50 or $100 deductible, it's a little more expensive to carry deductibles so low. And so I think this is more in keeping with the times, and particularly as we find ourselves in this hardened market. The one piece of the puzzle that we don't have is the excess liability. We have an excess liability primary layer. That was at $15 million last year. That's kind of an umbrella policy. It is being reduced to $10 million this year. And then there's another layer on top of that, which last year was at $10 million. Right now, we're only being offered $5 million, but we're continuing to pursue that in other marketplaces. And so I'm hoping to have that here by week's end. So we aren't recommending that component be bound. We talked about the student accident on the question that came under policy, so I won't touch on that again. And so I think with that, the recommendation is to approve Alliant Mesereau to procure and provide property, casualty, catastrophic student accident, cyber pollution, and educator legal liability insurance for the period of July 1, 2020 to June 30, 2021, as outlined.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Questions or discussions? Seeing none.
Gary, thanks for getting that information today.
You're welcome.
Seeing none, hearing none. Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Member Campbell,
Yes.
Member Gilbo,
Yes.
Member Perro,
Yes.
Member Badouris,
Yes.
Secretary Sikora,
Yes.
and President Pro Tem Zach.
Yes.
Next is the workers' compensation stop-loss insurance and third-party administrator renewal. We are recommending that we remain with Gallagher Bassett Services as our third-party administrator, or TPA. Basically, they handle the handling of all claims for any of our staff who are injured on the job. Presenting a proposal for a one-year extension with a per-claims rate increasing 3% over expiring. Even though the rate is increasing by 3%, we experienced both a decrease in medical only and indemnity claims for the prior year. And so for 2021, the claims handling costs will be billed only on actual claims incurred, as it always has, but they do set the maximum at 120% of what the amount of claims you had in the prior year. So our claims handling went from 68,000 last year as a maximum down to 56,000 this year. So that's a really good thing. Our Excess workers' compensation carries a $750,000 SIR, or self-insured retention. That means we're responsible for the first $750,000 of any claim. And the excess would be on top of that. So if you have a very catastrophic claim, that's what you'd want that insurance for. That's a flat renewal, but because we had an increase in salary, everything's driven by the salary. We do have a 3% increase in that premium, going from $75,000 to $77,000. And then the Arthur J. Gallagher Risk Management Service Fee for the handling and the service of the account is increasing by 2%. So overall, the one-year renewal is coming in at $164,424, or a 5% decrease from the prior year. With that, the recommendation would be to approve Gallagher Bassett Services as our TPA for 2021, as well as the purchase of the excess workers' compensation coverage with Star Insurance Company at a total cost of $164,424 for the period July 1, 2020 to June 30, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any questions or discussions? Seeing none, hearing none. A roll call vote, please.
Member Gilbo,
Yes.
Member Perro,
Yes.
Member Badouris,
Yes.
Member Campbell,
Yes.
Secretary Sikora,
Yes.
President Pro Tem Zach.
Yes.
Last action this evening is a recommendation for a 3-year diesel fuel contract. We did put out for bid the 3-year per gallon price adjustment factor. Really, all this is a adder to the rack rate of diesel fuel for our buses. And so we had 4 respondents. They ranged anywhere from under 2 cents to just above 3 cents. We are recommending taking the lowest bidder, Petroleum Traders, out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. They were our supplier for many years. I think there was an 11-year period in the past. And so they've been very reliable. Really what we're talking about is about a $5,700 cost that they, premium that they would collect on top of the actual price of fuel. That's determined by OPIS or whatever the rack rate is. So again, it's a very nominal amount. So again, the recommendation: award a fuel purchase contract to Petroleum Traders Corporation beginning August 1st, 2020 through July 30th, 2023, with a price adjustment factor of 0.0191 per gallon, pending final attorney review of the contract.
So moved.
Second.
I have the motion and a second. Questions, discussion? Seeing none, hearing none. A roll call vote, please.
Member Perro,
Yes.
Member Badouris,
Yes.
Member Campbell, Member Gilbo,
Yes.
Secretary Sikora,
Yes.
President Pro Tem Zach.
Yes. Okay, action report, Human Resources, Dr. Nash.
Good evening. Action Report 11.1 is our consolidated action report for certified and classified personnel. This evening, we're seeking your approval on 105 items for certified personnel, 19 items for classified personnel, and 1 item for certified administrative personnel.
So moved.
We have a motion. Somebody second?
I had a second by reading Member Campbell. I gotta ask her to unmute herself.
Yes, okay.
I have, yeah.
Questions or discussions? Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Member Badouris?
Who seconded that motion?
I did.
Member Campbell.
Doesn't matter.
I just
No.
didn't hear it seconded.
That was made by
No.
technology.
Okay, Member Badouris, that was a no, correct?
Correct. No.
Okay. Member Campbell?
Yes.
Member Gilbo?
No.
Member Perro?
Yes.
Secretary Sikora?
Yes.
And President Pro Tem Zach.
Yes. 11.2, nutritional service agreement.
Yes, action report 11.2. This evening, we're recommending approval of the proposed changes in the policies and procedures regarding nutrition services personnel agreement. These changes will be incorporated into the working agreement dated July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021. The Nutrition Services Department employees ratified these changes in a vote on May 15th, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Questions, discussions?
I just want to say, Judy, thank you for getting back to me so quickly on all my questions. And I want to thank Gary for getting back to me so quickly on all the questions, and Elizabeth and John as well. Thank you.
No problem.
Gary, is this the food service with the agreement where they stayed steady for the year?
Correct, yeah. When we were at the table, the COVID thing was really just starting to hit. And, you know, as we've had multiple discussions in our finance committee meetings about, you know, what does the future hold for us financially, and, you know, not knowing, you know, what was going to happen with property taxes and with state funding and so forth. And so, you know, they were looking for a longer term agreement, which really was going to be rather difficult during, you know, considering everything that was in front of us. And so they just agreed to a 1-year, you know, freeze. We made slight modifications to the contract, and they just wanted to be recognized that they were willing to take a freeze with all of the unknowns that the district was facing, but also be recognized that they were willing to do this because they recognized what was in front of us. So I think it was, you know, a great gesture on their part, and it's something that we should keep in the back of our minds.
Yes, totally agree.
And
Yeah.
Gary, this will now put everyone on the same cycle, correct?
Yes, next year will be AFT staff and all that come under that umbrella. Transportation will also be back at the table, as well as nutrition services. I think we've got one more year with office personnel.
Correct.
Yeah, so office personnel will be an off year, unless you
Okay.
really just want to bury me, JT. Then we can just put them on the same
No, I was just asking a question, Gary.
I'd like to say thank you to the nutrition service people for making that sacrifice. That was very great of them.
Yes, it was. It was very thoughtful of them. Okay, we have a motion, a second. Questions and discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Member Pero,
Yes.
Member Gilbo,
Yes.
Member Campbell,
Yes.
Member Badouris,
Yes.
Secretary Sikora,
Yes.
and President Pro Tem Zach.
Yes. Superintendent's informational report.
Yes, information report 12.1, part of the normal review policy for review process for board policies. We're presenting 4 policies for your review for information in accordance with updates from the Illinois Association of School Boards and review by our legal counsel. Policy 4170, safety. Policy 4175, convicted child sex offender and screening notifications. Under students, policy 7240, conduct code for participants in extracurricular activities, and 730, student assignment.
Okay. 12.2, Mr. Gerzafi.
12.2 is a information report regarding the Romeoville High School old woodshop conversion. This past winter, when we completed a new addition, providing a new wood shop to support the expanded needs of the Woods Carpentry Program, we needed to come back for a second phase to convert the old vacated wood shop along with adjacent spaces to a much needed instructional space for the expanding population of the school. So we're putting up the slide deck now to give you an idea and the community an idea of what's being proposed there. We've got a cost estimate also in the packet with some savings generated by utilizing some in-house labor, which we feel gives us a lot more quality control and obviously keeps the cost in check. We'd like to use the identical process that the board previously used to approve Midwest Mechanical for the Jamie McGee Elementary Mechanical Project. They are recognized as a winner, if you will, under a national RFP for labor through the NCPA Purchasing Cooperative. Would allow us to enter into a contract expeditiously, control the labor force to ensure schedule commitments, and offer us a very cost-effective option. We'd like to begin this summer with a completion date prior to the start of the second semester for the coming school year, so that would be January of '21. And so up here we have a rendering of what the old existing floor plan was. And you can see the old wood shop there in the bottom right there. Driver's ed room at the top. If you go to the next slide, please. This would be the new space. The old driver's ed room at the top, labeled number 6, is a percussion area, percussion lab, I guess, if you will. The standard classrooms, as are outlined under number 1, would be used for just regular classrooms, 6-7 periods a day. 3, the large college career resource space, I think could be used for large gatherings, also a study space for students during lunch, I think is if I remember, Derek, what you had called out for. You've got some small breakout spaces listed under number 2 and 4. Give students a lot of...
Gary, quick question for you.
Yeah.
Midwest Mechanical is the one that offered the self-finance?
Yes, they've offered us a couple things. First thought was they were pursuing a shovel-ready grant. Wasn't a whole lot of money being available statewide. We were not able to get in under the deadline for that, but they also agreed to delay payment of the project for up to 1 year. Basically, they would allow us to pay for the project a year from now if we get started. They've also offered options for financing, which I'm not too keen at least from what they presented me in terms of an interest rate. I think we could probably do better on our own if we truly wanted to finance it, but again, I think that's an option we can take under advisement. But the fact that they were willing to, they reduced their fee, what the initial cost was for their end of the work, which was almost 50% of the cost of the project. They reduced that by $50,000, and then they've also agreed to carry the cost for up to 1 year. I think they're really interested in partnering with us long term. Right now, things are going, excellent at Jamie McGee, but we kind of had a head start with school closing the way it did. Had it been a normal summer where we had the 10 weeks to jam all the work into, that certainly would have been the true test. But that's not to take anything away from them. They were really good at anticipating our needs and planning for what would have been a normal project had school not shut down the way it did. I don't know if you have any questions. We've got Principal of RHS, Derek Kinders, here. I don't know if you have any questions for him.
I do have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
On page 4, what it shows between classrooms 1 and 3 and between classrooms 2 and 3, is that glass?
I'm sorry, Deb, give me one more time. Where?
That's okay. Between classrooms 1 and 3, there's several ones, I think, and 3, and between classrooms 2 and 3, it appears that is glass separating them. And if it is that a distraction for students who are trying to study and pay attention?
She's referring to the classroom partitions.
Yeah, it is glass. I mean, yes, it is glass. I know this has been studied pretty extensively. I think the idea of opening things up and having, not being confined to 4 walls is kind of the belief there. I think there's a couple other pictures that show, if you go one more slide. There you go. Give you a sense of what the space could look like and will look like upon completion. I don't know. I'm assuming you and your staff have had some input into whether you wanted a masonry wall, sure, or a glass wall. We got Derek coming up to the podium.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Debbie. Yes, the design for the windows in between, we do like a screen coating on that is probably about 2 feet up from the floor and about 2 feet down, which creates a translucent type of light, where the light can still transfer from the hallway into the classroom, and you'd be able to see shadows, but you wouldn't be able to see into the classroom. And all of those windows are designed to have shades that would be on them for a security or safety situation, or whatever it might be, or in the event that there was something that we needed to block those windows, we could pull those down as well. But for the most part, it's a design feature, and to really keep an open format into those rooms when we are able to utilize that large space, which is identified by number 3 there. We could also utilize those classrooms that are off of that room as breakout rooms from the main presentation area, and for state assessment purposes into smaller room settings when we get into AP testing, and we get into individualized testing for access testing and such for observations and different things like that. So kids would be able to flow from room 3 into room 1 and 1 on the east and west of those rooms.
Okay. So Derek, my question is, would that be similar to what central administration is, the conference rooms with that, where you can't see
Kind
in?
of frosted area.
Yes, the frosted
Okay.
glass would be a perfect example of kind of what you would see in that setting, yes. And it would create a better lighting situation into the classroom. And in touring many high schools in our conference and throughout the area, a lot of schools are going to this design just to create a more of a flow into their classrooms, more so than just the traditional cinder block wall. It creates very aesthetically pleasing environment for the kids to get into, and having a more open format for them to learn it and kind of go through.
And that's the section on here that's storefront under S&J doors. Is that why S&J's portion is what it is?
Correct.
That's
JT, yes.
I have a question. The percussion lab is gonna be where the driver's ed used to be. So where will the driver's ed be?
Sally, great question. And that was something that we put into the planning with our department chair, Mike Odell. We have moved them just to the south of their old area where it would be. As you know, you approved the purchase of the new virtual driver's ed simulator material, so the footprint needed for the driver ed program became a lot smaller with the virtual equipment. So we're able to utilize the room 6, or the room that is identified as room 6 on the map that you're looking at, as a larger space for Adam Hill and his the ever-growing percussion program that we have at RHS. But the driver ed program is moving just to the south. They're getting one of the brand new classrooms that we're just going to be opening up in hopes in the fall. They also did get their kind of a private office area because of the confidentiality of the students' applications, having their social security numbers and their driver identification numbers, where Mike will have his own secure office with his driver's ed instructors to keep secure keys, and all the different needs for the automobiles would be right there. And we're also keeping them close to that exit, which was exit 29, which is just to the west, or to the north and west of the Wood Auto Shop, which gives them easy access right outside those doors. And we're able to store those cars in the back to keep them protected as well.
so Derek, that's going to be in the new hallway that's on your way down to the addition.
Yes, they got one of the brand new classrooms, and we're fitting that with in-house electrical work for the new virtual driver education simulator models. Of all 8 of those will be in one of the new classrooms. And like I said, Mike and John and Steve were very happy to have their new area, and we added a restroom down there for the much needed space for the staff members that now is going to house upwards of probably about 18 to 19 teachers in that wing, when they used to be working on one single pod bathroom down there for staff.
What are those 2 little glass, are those doors? Are those would that be where the old overhead door was at? Let's see, it would be, I guess, in the front of the classroom in number 3. There's no numbers next to them. Yeah,
that's kind of a transitional just space to kind of give the idea of the divide in between. There was an original proposal to have those be a transitional glass sliding door. The cost was really rather large to actually have those be removable glass panels. So we're just having them as a separation point, as an entrance and an exit
No.
pathway out of that room, JT, in between that are just floating glass
No.
doors that are in the middle.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm asking that correctly. I guess if that was the old wood shop, Derek, it would be probably that overhead door would be one of those spaces, and then maybe if there was a man door down there. Do you see those? They look like a glass cube. They don't
Oh, the
have
cubes. Those create vestibules or airlocks. Our goal, JT, here is to use this space 3 for a parent venue. As you know, that exterior wall is our main loop where student and parent drop-off is.
Right.
So in the event on evening presentations and to better utilize the HVAC system and the heating and cooling of our building for night events, we're able to access or have parents and students come into our building through those airlocks right there to come in, and we only have to heat and cool one space instead of heating and cooling a large auditorium or little theater on the south end of our building. This would create a better venue for what would be our FAFSA nights, our college presentations, when we have speakers come in, and also with the hopes of possibly utilizing our parent internet lab for people of the community to come in and utilize the internet, and also have some resources for college and career resources for our students and for our parents as they transition through the years.
Okay, so those are exit doors.
They're vestibule airlocks that are right there with the 2 doors. So when you open the door, it's not opening straight out into the parking lot in what could be 0-degree temperatures. Keeps the heat in the building.
And then I know it's not on the map, but is the old union office being repurposed too, or is that something for Adam, or is that?
Yeah, that is correct, JT. With it in the plans with that, Pete Morris with the auto shop uses his virtual welding equipment up in that area, the old union shop. There are 6 devices that are up there that the kids use rather often. He has the other side, which is his rather kind of small classroom, which has anywhere between 18 to 24 kids, and then also with the large lab with the shop. But he is going to utilize that for the virtual welding program that he's incorporated into his auto shop class as well.
Okay, that's already been done. That's not part of this.
Yeah, there are some modifications that are going to happen with that. That area has been void of air conditioning since the building's existence. I know you've heard it from Arliss how hot it is up there when he's up there in those meetings. They did equip it with a smaller individual unit, which was not very efficient to run. Unfortunately over the years, but there is a brand new HVAC system which could provide Pete and the kids air conditioning for all 7 periods or whenever that room is needed.
Awesome. Actually, I have one more question. Because you guys have been doing modifications over there, there's no need for an elevator there, is there?
No, there is not.
Okay, just making sure.
Thank you, Derek. Okay, that's what everybody's waiting for 2.5 hours to hear Mr. O'Driscoll in the legal service report. No report. AFT, any report? No report. Valley View Council and Valley View Council personnel. Thank you. Any old business from the board? Any new business from the board? Any questions from the public of any questions that have been taken tonight? I have an announcement first. It is important to take a minute to address recent events. Our district stands for a community that is welcoming and open to all, and for treating everyone with kindness and respect. We stand united against racism in all of its forms. We hope this is an opportunity we all take to listen to each other and learn from others' experiences. The goal of the district is to inspire community through education, enrichment, and discovery. We strive now more than ever to create an environment where all feel welcome to live, learn, and grow. Thank you. Any announcements from the board?
I just have a,
Go ahead, Liz.
no, that's okay, you go ahead.
Okay, I got a few actually, so if that's okay?
Yes.
Okay, I know that, the school, students, staff, and community, parents, took a survey about, how the e-learning or our learning went. And, I would love to hear, or maybe see the results from that. So if that's at all possible, hopefully that could happen in the future where we can see those results. And if they're just on the website or something, that would be great too. Either way, if we hear it at a board meeting or see them on the website, that'd be great. My second thing that I have to say is, I thought Dr. Mitchum would be here for his last board meeting, and I wanted to say good luck to him in his future. It's been a long time. I know, in 1980 he began, and that's right after my husband graduated from high school, and I was a junior in high school at that same high school when he started. And he was my youngest son's principal for all 4 of his years at Romeoville High School. And I remember when he became the superintendent in 2010, and our very first Institute Day in Romeoville High School gym, when he had all the staff, certified and classified staff there in his very first meeting. I wish the best for him. So Jim, if you're listening or if you get the message, hope all goes well, and please take care. For all of us, all of you watching, board members, staff, everybody, have a good, healthy summer, and God bless America.
Liz, you have it?
All right, am I unmuted? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
And on the note that you were saying, I want to piggyback on there when we were talking about oppression and justice. So when is our next meeting to talk about that if we're really concerned about everybody? So when is our next board meeting?
Is it the 20th, maybe?
Our next board meeting is July 20th.
July 20th.
That is correct. And obviously that course is specific to the topic of having conversations about race, racism, systemic racism, social injustices, equipping our students to be a part of change and creating equitable systems, not just in education, but in the world. And so to that end, we have been having a lot of conversations. I have enlisted the help of several staff members who have particular interest or training or passion in this area on how we can take the next step to best engage our students, staff, families, and larger community. I do know there are some plans in the works for some community conversations to take place in the upcoming weeks. So that course to me is one example of conversations we need to be having. So when we talk about the education we're providing for our students and preparing them to be life ready, that is life ready in my mind. And so I welcome those conversations. I believe they need to happen at board meetings like this. I believe that once we engage in our initial board workshop together on July 21st, that we should continue that trend and have a deeper engagement around the issues of where does the board stand and where does the district stand and what is our commitment to equity and racial justice, and where have we been and where do we go next, and how do we lean into our collective responsibility to ensure we are having difficult conversations. And so I welcome that, and I believe that after our next board workshop we schedule that and then we continue to have those conversations. I think that course is one specific example of work that needs to be part of the larger plan that demonstrates our commitment, that it's not just words, but that we truly mean it and we live it and we make strides toward that together with our larger community.
So who's going to be meeting in the next couple of weeks? Who did you say who's going to be meeting in the next couple of weeks?
Specific to that course, we could take a variety of paths. If we wanted to go through like an academic committee that had previously not been operational as of late, but there's no reason that we could not reestablish that and have the interested board members attend that, obviously within what is allowable. Or we can break that down in a way to have those conversations, because frankly, I'm ready to have those conversations in a public meeting. I don't know that we always have necessarily have the time, but we need to make the time. So we can schedule a small meeting and bring that to a larger workshop. Because to me, that course is one example of a piece of a larger plan and larger conversations that we need to be having, more than just saying, you know, where we stand. We need to show that through our actions. And so we can, in the next couple weeks, have the academic review specific to that course. We can discuss how we connect that to the committee structure for the boards, and then I would like to see the board commit to a board workshop.
I also think that through history at the younger grades, through at least junior high, that this is something that as you relate history, you learn from it, and this should be embedded in it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
When you, Debbie,
So
when
do you plan on having this be part of the history program, or is this part of the English program, or some sort of philosophy program?
I think, I don't know if you have time to really know hear entirely what I think, but I think we need to look across our entire curriculum, which we did begin that effort last year, in the sense of looking at the inclusivity of our curriculum, and not only equitable curriculum in terms of access to the learning, but what is it that we are equipping our children with? And are we teaching them one version of history, or are we teaching them America's history, the real history, not just the history that has been showcased in, you know, traditional textbooks over the past decades, since, you know, the abolition of slavery and desegregation. So there are opportunities in our curriculum to ensure that we are giving our students the chance to truly learn, to truly engage, to truly seek to understand different perspectives, engage in dialogue about it, and not just have, you know, one very Anglo view of history presented as the history, which is, you know, traditionally been in schools. And we've made adjustments in curriculum over the years, and there's definite improvements, but there's a long way to go. So the curriculum is one area that presents an opportunity. There are many more other areas that I believe are present, and I know our students feel the same way. Our students have a lot to say and want to be heard and want to be part of the change, as does our larger community, our families. And I think, you know, as Vice President Zach said, we do need to listen, and then together we do need to take ownership and take action, so that we can make improvements and we can continue to have real conversations, and be uncomfortable in having conversations, so that we are committed to doing the work that needs to be done.
So what do we miss tonight that whoever the committee had put that together, what do we miss by tabling this for a whole month out?
I think I hope it invites the opportunity to have real dialogue. That's what I hope. And so it's delayed, and we can accept that, but I hope the next step is that there's real dialogue, to asking questions, to understanding, to acknowledging other perspectives and viewpoints. That course is all about understanding systems of oppression that have been a part of not only our nation, but nations around the world, and how that has played an impact on history, and how that impacts you today in this world. And how, in a social justice sense, in a racial justice sense, those are critical topics. Those are crucial conversations that we need to create the space for our kids to have, and our staff to have the tools and the ability to engage our kids in those conversations, and support our kids in having those conversations. So I hope it's just a delayed conversation for dialogue. I hope there's a commitment from the board to engage in that dialogue, because it certainly crucial. To me, it is the work. It's hard work, but it's heart work. And if we say we believe in every learner, and we say we believe in providing equal opportunity and equal access, then we've got to be willing to have tough conversations, acknowledge the truth, acknowledge other people's perspectives, even if they aren't our own, and learn and do better. So to me, I hope it's a revisiting of that, and it's the start of a dialogue that continues, and continues with a lived commitment to equity and creating equitable systems, and that's my hope.
Okay, this is my last question. So where did, like we were saying, the administrator, the team, and everybody else, when do the board get in this conversation?
That's for the board to decide. I think related to that course and that curriculum, we can have a separate committee meeting. We can have a separate meeting just specific to that course. And then I think we should also have a conversation, as a whole board of where does the board want to go as a next step in engaging not just an internal team, but a larger team, creating that forum for our students, our families, and our community, and learning, because that's a huge part of it, that we are putting ourselves in a position to learn, and continuing to learn and grow. So that, to me, that's the decision of the board, and I think our community, our parents, our families, our students, and our staff will also need to be a part of that larger conversation as well.
So this course is going to be about Freire and his Marxist ideology?
I'm sorry?
So this course is going to be, second one after Postman is Freire. So is this going to be discussing Marxism or promoting Marxism?
If you're speaking to specific content in the course, that's probably most relevant to discuss with the educators who created this course and work in the area. There's a variety of different topics of past oppression and discrimination, of current issues of oppression, and that's just not specific to race. That can be specific to religion, poverty, sexual orientation, you name it. There's so many different ways that systems of oppression have existed, as well as the most current in our face in the daily news and events that has garnered so much due attention in the sense of systemic racism. But the whole point of the course with all of those topics is about engaging in dialogue. It's about researching, learning. It's about having a stance of empathetic leadership, of empathetic listening, and being a learner and willing to understand the experiences of others throughout the course of history, throughout systems of oppression. And then how do you engage in critical dialogue from an informed position? And that's what social justice is about.
Yes, but is it going to stay on that topic, or is it going to veer off into Freire's Marxist ideals? I mean, I would love us to have this conversation, so I'm looking
With all
forward
due
to it.
JT, with all due respect to everyone, we voted to move this topic off of the agenda tonight, so to be able to talk about it further offline. And I think we're kind of doing the opposite of what we voted against right now. So,
Well, I would just like to make one last comment. My concern is, if this is such a needed thing, why is it being held 5 weeks off and the board is not even involved in the discussion? If somebody would just answer me that question, then I have no other question. If you have that answer, Diane, please give it to me. Why was it postponed if it's such a needed? Why we postpone it? It must not be needed then.
I would have been fine having it on the agenda tonight. In fact, I was pretty impressed that the district, that Rachel and gang was bringing this forward to us.
Well, President Quigley took it off, so for whatever 2 board members. So I would like to talk to President Quigley and the 2 board members that asked him to take it off.
I was one of them. I was the one that called Steve, and it has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with the topics of racism or or social justice. It's not about that. It's about some of these, it's about some of the authors that are listed in here and their ideology that goes way beyond the topics that we were just discussing. So that's why I'd like us to have this conversation offline, and particularly
Okay.
the topic of critical pedagogy.
Okay, let's,
Any other
so,
question?
okay, then I'm asking the board, when are you available to have this discussion? Because right now, I don't hear when we'll have this discussion. I hear that we're saying the administrators are going to have this discussion. We have a work session, but I'm still not hearing that. So I'm asking the board, thank you, JT, for responding. I appreciate that. So I'm asking this board now, we don't have to discuss it, but when is it going to happen?
My guess, Liz, would be that, or maybe not, I shouldn't say my guess. My suggestion
Schedule a
would be
meeting,
that
guys.
the district has a education committee meeting, or not education, what's it called, Debbie, that you and I are on?
Academic.
Academic, thank you. Academic committee meeting. And we would attend that, and then we would disseminate the information we hear from that with the rest of the board.
So
I think that's
I think Liz
protocol.
is right. I think it's gotta be the board.
Right, so this is what I'm saying. I feel that I'm being talked over. I feel that I'm being ignored, and nobody's not giving me a time. So when is the next time that the academic committee meets? So then again, we're just postponing it. So I'm asking, when are we gonna have this discussion?
Liz, if it's only the academic meeting, then only two of us can go. So I think you're right, and I think that it needs to be the full board and not just two of us. And I think that's kind of what you're saying as well.
Here's what we could do. We could have, if Liz and JT want to go and meet with one night with the academic teachers, they could and report to us.
Well, I was one of the other people, so I think I would like to go as well. So that's what I'm saying, there's more than just two of us.
I don't mind, I don't have to be in that meeting, but I wanna know when. I don't want us
So
to sit here.
let's pick a
and
date.
we table it.
Pick a
we're gonna-
date next week.
I want us to do it. I don't want us to say we're gonna do something, and then once this meeting is over with, then nothing is being done.
Next Monday? How about next Monday? Would that work for you guys?
Who's you guys?
Sally, JT?
That's fine.
That's fine?
Let me check, hang on. Yeah, next Monday is good with me. So who
So
will,
Debbie, we'll let Sally and JT go to that meeting since,
Correct.
right?
and who else will be at the meeting? Just me and JP?
Yes, you
Wow.
only can have two.
It's the
Well,
only way we can do it.
I think it's, Liz, you can have my spot. I can ask my questions offline or
No,
at
that's
another time.
okay. I just want it to be done. I don't have to be at the table.
Okay.
Well, same thing here. I mean, it would just be explaining our feelings, so, I mean, I don't know. I don't know a good way to do it.
I'm open for whatever. You guys can let me know.
We'll set up a time on early, on Monday, so you guys could go at the meeting. Next on the agenda, any announcements from the administration?
Yes, I have a couple. I do, in response to Member Gilbo's question, as well as an update I have, we do have teams of educators that have taken the survey data and synthesized it, and they are working. They've been meeting throughout the week virtually to continue to plan contingency plans for the fall. We are expecting additional ISB guidance, so in combination with the voice from the student, staff, and parent surveys, as well as updated guidance that comes out from ISB likely over the next couple weeks, and then I'm assuming into July, then we will have draft plans to share with the board and parents and students and larger community, so we understand what the options are dependent upon what the conditions are and the current guidance is. So right now, we don't have specific plans yet. The voice from the surveys is being used to inform them, and it's in the early stages of the teachers taking those recommendations to make modifications for on-site learning or for remote learning, because we know we have areas for improvement and opportunity for remote learning, and we're listening to the voice about that, as well as some variation if there is a hybrid option where we are able to have students on site but in smaller groups, or for with modifications for the reduction in group size and other distancing measures. So it's in the early stages of planning, but you can expect that there will be updates coming. And by the July board meeting, we intend to have additional, more solid information, keeping in mind, though, that it's very fluid, and oftentimes additional guidance and conditions change, and we just have to be flexible and ready to adapt. So that's the update on the fall planning that is continuing to be underway. My second announcement is I thought it would be appropriate on the eve of the last board meeting of the tenure of Dr. James Mitchum, Superintendent Mitchum. I would like to publicly acknowledge Dr. Mitchum for his nearly 40 years of service to the children and community of Valley View. Dr. Mitchum is a visionary leader who has truly lived by the motto, first the heart and then the mind. He has pioneered a path to challenge the historical factors and barriers that have created fatal flaws in the education system. Much as we are speaking about this evening, his mission has been to create a system where every action truly matches the rhetoric of believing all children can learn, grow, and achieve at high levels, and ensuring that every child has the ability and opportunity to find success in post-secondary life. He's worked tirelessly, he's empowered others to shift an educational system that was not designed for equal opportunity for every child. He has worked tirelessly, and he has empowered others to remove barriers and address the root causes that have prevented us from having a truly culturally responsive system to support diverse learners. He's given me the privilege of working alongside him to build the capacity to support deep change in the most equitable, student-centered way possible. Like so many others that have had the opportunity to learn and grow working with Dr. Mitchum, I will be forever grateful for his mentorship, friendship, and support. I am forever grateful for the path that he has paved the way in Valley View for. Although we still have a long, very long way to go, as our conversation certainly alludes to, in order for us to truly realize our mission, we will continue on the quest for deep and meaningful change and growth for every learner, every day. Thank you, Dr. Mitchum. Whether from near or afar, I know you will continue to be a friend, ally, and supporter of VVSD and the work we have begun for our students and our families, alongside of our staff. Reflecting on Dr. Mitchum's tenure and the daily reminders of the inequitable systems in our nation bears a stark reminder as my charge as superintendent and our collective responsibility to lean in toward the work toward equitable systems, supports, and opportunities for every learner. I'm encouraged that we've scratched the surface as a board and committing to having those conversations and committing to learning and to committing to understanding what that truly means for our next phase as we've set a foundation for it, but we certainly have a long way to go. So I'm hopeful for the partnership with the board, with our staff, with our community, and with our students. And if we collectively lean in to the responsibility that we have to this work and are willing to be uncomfortable and are willing to deeply, truly engage and learn, I believe we can continue to make great progress for every child, including our children of Black and Brown, our children who come from diverse backgrounds, our children who do not come from privilege. And we can continue to make a difference of opportunity and access and growth and achievement for them. So that is my hope. And we are able to continue on the path that we have paved with the leadership of Superintendent Dr. James Mitchum as he retires and leaves us after many decades of engaging in this work. So got a long way to go, but we're in it. So thank you.
Very well said, Rachel.
Thank you. Very good. Thank you. Thank you. And next time we'll see you as Superintendent Kendry at the next meeting.
Yes, but.
Yes, ma'am. I will be here.
Okay, any announcements from the public? Of course, not as approaching midnight. Okay, could I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I need a roll call for that, please.
Member Campbell,
Yes.
Member Badouras,
Yes.
Member Pero,
Yes.
Member Gilbo,
Yes.
Secretary Sikora,
Yes.
President Pro Tem Zach.
Yes. Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Night.
Have a great evening. Be safe.